Meghan didn't say the word divorce, but she didn't have to. One line in a glossy interview just flipped the royal narrative, and now the palace is scrambling behind the scenes. What did she say? And what does it mean for her future with Harry?
All the time, that you should be the person that hears his father say, "I'm so sorry, let's get together." I don't believe that in 1 minute.
Another new low. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse this week, Meghan Markle has only gone to People magazine to brief against her own husband. Okay, here's the report. Meghan Markle is very business about royal rift as Prince Harry is left out of the details in England. A source says that Meghan is focused on the future while Harry has one foot in the past.
Just when you thought Meghan Markle couldn't shake the royal foundation any harder, she does something even her harshest critics didn't see coming. No dramatic tell-all, no explosive TV interview, just one glossy, pastel-drenched People magazine feature. But make no mistake, this wasn't fluff. It was a strategic detonation disguised as self-care and journaling.
Fueling any kind of negativity, and she does attract that. She attracts criticism. She's become a very divisive person, but she's saying all the right things. She's even explaining why she's kept the Sussex name, why keeping that.
Photos of Meghan from months ago. No mention of Harry. Quotes crafted with surgical precision and a subtle dig that has royal watchers and the public asking, is this the soft launch of her solo career or the soft landing of a royal breakup? Because while Meghan paints herself as the evolved, mindful mogul rising from the ashes of royal life, Harry's nowhere in sight. Not in the photos, not in the messaging, not even in the subtext. She isn't lashing out. She's moving on, and she's doing it quietly, deliberately, and very much in public.
And People magazine, which I do always have to remind you, has clearly come directly from Meghan herself or one of her representatives, because that's how she works with People magazine. People magazine has now become the biggest propagandist for the Sussexes since Omid Scobie, that weird little bloke, you know, the one that looks like Michael Jackson.
To both of them, because it is now they're part of their family history, and she didn't realise how meaningful that would be until we had children. So
this wasn't just a puff piece. It was a narrative power play. And if you read between the lines, Meghan may have just told the world, he's the past, I'm the future. But the fallout? That was just beginning. Meghan Markle didn't scream this message. She whispered it through pastel filters and curated captions. Her People magazine feature didn't just mark a return to the spotlight. It marked a transformation. Gone are the teary interviews and talk of royal oppression. What we got instead was a serene, self-assured woman sipping organic tea in Montecito, talking about purpose, joy, and forward motion.
For the past few days, you know, with the slut drop video, with the release of all of the pictures of Lily, with the whole world talking about the fact that the bump doesn't look at all real.
But here's where it gets chilling. Harry is barely mentioned, if at all. The article isn't a profile of a power couple. It's a portrait of a woman evolving alone. The photos? Stale. Nearly a year old. The quotes? Carefully worded to make it clear who's growing and who's dragging behind. And Meghan? She's done explaining. There's no more emotional hand-holding, no more shared battles. Just a woman on a personal PR mission that subtly nudges Harry out of frame. The omission of his presence isn't an accident. It's a strategy.
To go and rub salt into the wounds by going to People magazine and pointing out that she's not the issue. Of course, the royal rift just has nothing to do with her. So we're going to get analysis from our royal mastermind, Prince Harry's biographer Angela Levin, in just one moment. But first, let me take you through this astonishing.
Because in this new chapter, Meghan isn't asking for understanding. She's crafting a storyline, one where she's the clear-headed visionary. And Harry? Well, he's quickly becoming the emotional weight she's learned to let go of. But what she said next turned a quiet repositioning into a full-blown PR earthquake. Buried in the soft language and wellness branding was a single line, subtle, almost tender, yet sharp enough to slice through the royal facade like glass. Meghan wishes her husband could feel less burdened by the past and more present in the life they've built together. On the surface, It reads like concern. But read it again, and it's a loaded message. This wasn't just a quote. It was a quiet mic drop, a statement that paints Harry as emotionally stagnant, haunted by palace ghosts, while Meghan lights candles and rearranges crystals in California. It wasn't a direct attack. It didn't have to be. It was the kind of polished narrative that lets the audience connect the dots on their own.
Fueling any kind of negativity, and she does attract that. She attracts criticism. She's become a very divisive person, but she's saying all the right things. She's even explaining why she's kept the Sussex name, why keeping that.
And that's what makes it so powerful. It implied she's outgrown the drama, while he's still reliving it. She's thriving. He's trapped. And for viewers and royal watchers alike, it sent a clear message. If this marriage falls apart, she's already emotionally clocked out. It's not cruelty, it's positioning. Meghan didn't need to say, "I'm done." She let the narrative say it for her, with grace, strategy, and plausible deniability. But this quiet weapon wasn't the only clue. There was something missing. And it screamed louder than any quote ever could. What wasn't said in the People article was just as powerful as what was. Harry, once half of the Sussex brand and the emotional core of their post-royal saga, was nowhere to be found. No smiling photos, no shared anecdotes, no united front. It was as if he'd been gently edited out of the frame, an accessory to Meghan's narrative, not a partner in it.
Look, I don't think there's too much in there to upset people, put it that way, and she's obviously wanted to create some excitement about the show, which, as I say, drops tomorrow. Now, we have a brand new trailer. Now, you know what it's like churning out a few hours of TV a day.
And that silence? It was deafening, especially coming from a couple who once shared everything. Trauma, triumph, and tea with Oprah. The absence of Harry signals more than just a PR choice. It's a shift in dynamic. It suggests that Meghan is not just stepping into her own spotlight. She may be preparing the audience for a solo act, a spiritual rebrand, a lifestyle pivot, maybe even political ambitions, all without the emotional baggage of her royal past, or the man still clinging to it. This isn't your typical celebrity distance. This is calculated media distancing, clean, subtle, and impossibly efficient. The kind that doesn't stir drama, it stages an exit. But if Meghan's rewriting the story, where does that leave Harry? And what role is he unknowingly playing in this unraveling fairy tale? In every paragraph, Meghan was cast not just as a woman, but as a movement. The calm in the storm.
They remain married. Remember, that's the difference. This happens with warring couples, with divorcing couples all the time. But while they remained married was Victoria and David Beckham.
The sage-burning, intention-setting, spiritually aligned goddess of Montecito, who's too busy journaling and building brands to worry about palace feuds. The article practically anointed her as the enlightened CEO of her own evolution, with language so delicately curated it could have been written by a wellness startup. She's no longer the tearful duchess begging for empathy. She's the visionary, the founder, the future. While Harry clings to the rubble of royal trauma, Meghan's already paved a eucalyptus-lined path to her next empire. Think Goop meets Vogue with a hint of presidential polish. And if anyone gets left behind, so be it. This kind of public image reset isn't sloppy, it's surgical. Meghan doesn't make noise. She shifts perception. She doesn't fight back. She ascends. And in this version of the story, she's not just surviving. She's glowing, unbothered, and moving forward. But if Meghan is thriving in her new reality, Harry seems trapped in his, and the emotional divide is growing wider by the day. While Meghan floats forward, Harry looks increasingly anchored to the past, emotionally, mentally, even publicly.
We're going to stay together and put their issues behind them. It was just impossible to have two different camps within one marriage briefing publications. But that's exactly what Meghan Markle has done here. It is a disgusting new low, briefing against her husband to People magazine.
His memoir Spare didn't just burn bridges, it incinerated them. And now, from across the Atlantic, he's watching the fallout in silence. Royal events pass without him. Messages go unanswered. And according to insiders, even news about his father's illness is being filtered through the tabloids. He's not just being excluded, He's being erased. But the tragedy isn't just the cold shoulder from Buckingham Palace. It's that Harry seems bewildered by it, as if he still expected warmth after setting the palace gates ablaze with tales of manipulation, betrayal, and dysfunction. His heart might have been in the right place, but the consequences? Brutal. In a monarchy built on silence, loyalty, and image, Harry broke all three. And the royal freeze that followed? That was no accident. Now, stuck between royal exile and California reinvention, Harry seems lost. No longer a prince with purpose, but a man chasing meaning in lawsuits, speeches, and causes that no longer hit the same. The very institutions he tried to escape still haunt him, while Meghan walks freely into the future. And in this emotional stalemate, Meghan's next move changes everything. While Harry stumbles through emotional landmines and royal regret, Meghan is quietly, almost elegantly, laying the bricks of her next empire. Lifestyle branding, strategic partnerships, a polished docuseries, carefully controlled press. She's not reacting, she's planning. Every step is calculated, every word curated. And this People magazine feature? It wasn't just PR, it was a blueprint. No drama, no headlines shouting divorce or split, just subtle moves that hint she's no longer tethered to the same story.
I don't believe that it should be that way
Well,
round.
indeed. And not to mention the fact that he revealed the details of just how bad his father's cancer was in that BBC interview. But look, let's get on, Angela, and we can analyse as we go to this specific reporting from People.
She's already pivoting into wellness, entrepreneurship, even potential political aspirations, and the message is unmistakable. She doesn't need to break up publicly, she just needs to move on visibly. Where Harry is searching for identity post-royalty, Meghan has already created hers, a poised, grounded mogul shaping her own destiny, not with confrontation, but with indifference, not with drama, but detachment. And the brilliance of it? The public eats it up. She's not the villain, she's the visionary. And Harry, well, he's looking more like a ghost in the guest house. But what happens when the story quietly fades to just her? One more move, and Harry may not be part of the narrative at all. They may still share a home, a brand, and a last name. But emotionally, Meghan and Harry are living in two different worlds. One is scaling the heights of reinvention, the other is pacing through old memories and interviews, hoping for closure that may never come. Meghan isn't just ahead, she's already moved on, not with scandal, but with silence. Not with confrontation, but with a calm that makes the contrast almost cruel. She speaks in measured tones about gratitude, purpose, and joy, while the man who left everything for love is stuck spinning. He's trying to reconcile a lost identity, still waiting for a royal apology or a public embrace that likely won't come. But Meghan? She's not looking back, she's not even slowing down. This isn't your typical celebrity drift. It's an emotional unraveling playing out in real time, masked by luxury branding and polished interviews. Meghan doesn't need to announce a separation. She's already embodying one. And Harry, whether he knows it or not, is being slowly written out of the storyline. Not as an enemy, not even as an afterthought, but as a relic of a chapter she's already closed. And when the final page turns, only one of them will be holding the pen. If fairy tales end with happily ever after, this one feels more like a slow fade to black. No dramatic press conferences, no screaming matches or social media chaos, just two people, once united in rebellion, now drifting apart in plain sight. Meghan doesn't need to say the marriage is over. She's letting silence, stillness, and strategy do the talking. She's thriving in curated calm, building her next act with surgical precision. Podcasts, partnerships, and power moves, all crafted to reinforce one image. She's evolved. And if Harry can't keep up, well, that's on him. Her message is soft, but crystal clear. I tried. I healed. I moved forward. What more do you want? Meanwhile, Harry seems suspended between the past he tried to escape and a future he can't seem to build. His pain is palpable, but increasingly irrelevant to the narrative Meghan is shaping. A narrative without him at the center. He's not a villain. He's not a hero. He's a chapter that's quietly closing, even if the ink is still wet. Because this isn't just a rebrand, it's a controlled exit, a well-lit soft launch into the next era, without saying the one word we're all thinking, goodbye.